Good morning. It is Aubrey Digital, and today I am Aubrey Logical because I am working on Calculus 2 homework. Um, just a second. I'm gonna pull this up, make sure it's going. There we go. There I am. Cool. Sweet. Good morning. The music you're hearing is Sufjan Stevens, Carrie and Lowell. Let me just turn the volume up on this to see what the real differential is. Let me just turn the volume up on this to see what the real differential is. Let me just turn the volume up on this to see what the real differential is. Anyways, I don't know. I'm getting tripping myself out with this shit. Anyways, what's up? Here to work on some volume problems and listen to some Carrie and Lowell. Hopefully I don't get taken down for whatever reason. This is not my music. This is not me playing music right now. It's just pretty chill music that is good to do math to, I think. Or that I hope. Alright, so I'm Aubrey, and this is my 8th installment, and we're going over volume of rotation. Find the volume of the solid obtained by rotating the region bounded by y is equal to the root of to the square root of x and y is equal to 0 from x equals 0 to x equals 4 about the x-axis. Alright, so for anyone who is familiar with this, okay, anyone who's familiar with this will probably not know what I'm about to do because I'm doing a different methodology somewhat that Tan, my instructor, showed me. So he tells us that for the first step, we want to find anything where the x is equal to a constant, because these are going to be our limits. We're finding our limits. So we've got x equals 0 and we've got x equals 4. I'm using hellas CPU. Oh well. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Okay. So then step 2. We're going to set our y equations equal to each other. So it's going to be root x is equal to 0. So that would just mean that x is equal to 0, which we already know, so that's not really any help to us. But it's okay. We still had to do both of these steps. We have to do both of these steps every time. And then if we don't get our 2 limits after these 2 steps, we gotta keep going on to another step. But we don't need to in this instance because we already have our limits found out. So let's just go ahead and erase this. So another thing that is specifically a trick that my teacher has taught us is something called XY convenience and YX convenient, which again, like I said, is going to be super confusing to anyone who learned this through anyone else, because nobody else, I don't think, does this except for my instructor. So what this means essentially is that we have to go through our functions here. So we got y equals root of x, we've got y equals 0, we've got x equals 0, and we've got x equals 4. So then we're going to count up how many equations we have for each one. So we have 1, 2 y's, and we've got 1, 2, 3 x's. So 2 is our limit. So 2 y's means it's going to be x, y convenient. So, since we know that we're xy convenient, and we also know that we're rotating about the x-axis, we're going to go to our handy-dandy formulas sheet, and we're going to find the one that matches. Okay, so we have xy convenient rotated about the x-axis. So let me just grab this and bring it into our project.
Shall we beat this or celebrate it?
Okay.
You're not the one to talk things through.
So let's go ahead and set up our equation.
You checked your text while
So
I masturbated.
volume is equal to pi times the integral from a to b. So a to b is going to be 0 to 4.
Found my cell phone Spencer's view.
And then it's going to be y2 squared. So now we have to figure out which of these two equations is going to be higher on our graph. And we can do all of this without ever drawing any graphs at all, thanks to the methodologies taught by my instructor. So let's see here, root x. So we can plug in a number between 0 and 4. So let's do 2. So, oh yeah, let's not do 2. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can do 2. Because square root of 1 is 1, so square root of 2 is not going to be that much more than 1. So, I don't know, 1 point... Damn, what the hell? Square root of 2 is actually the interval between every note on in Western instruments, I guess, like guitars. Or, yeah, that's the interval. Okay, so... Yeah, I don't know how we really plug in it with this one, but let's see. We can think about a graph, even though we don't need one, right? But it will help. So, square root of x function is going to look like this. And the y equals 0 function is going to look like this. So it's essentially the x-axis, which is interesting. So we shouldn't have to minus anything, I wouldn't think. I think we just do the first one. So root x dx. And I think that's it. But we'll check our work when we're done here. Okay, so in order to take this integral, we are first going to rewrite it as x to the 1/2 power. And now when we're doing an antiderivative, we're going to add 1 to that, and then we're going to take our new value and divide by that. So that's going to become x to the 3/2, and then dividing by 3/2, we're going to end up multiplying by 2/3. So there's our indefinite integral, and now we're going to go ahead and plug in our values for x. Still keeping our pi out front for now. we've got 2/3 times 4 to the 3/2 minus 2/3 times 0. Okay, so we don't have to do anything because that's just going to become 0. Because anything times 0 is 0, and 0 to any power is still going to be 0. So let's go ahead and plug in 4 to the 3/2. Now I know this is where I get confused, is because I know there's a way to write this. This is the same thing as saying the square root to the third, something like that. I don't think it's exactly that, but let's see if I can figure it out based upon an easier situation. So 4 to the 1/2 power is the same as the square root of 4. So that's going to be 4 to the first power divided by 2. I wonder, is that what that means? I mean, the square root of 4 is going to be plus or minus 2. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna ask the internet. 3/2 power is the same as what? Alright, it misinterpreted mine. What is... Sorry, I know I can do this on the calculator, but I just figured ChatGPT might tell me why. 4 to the 3/2. Okay. So 4 to the 3/2 can be rewritten as 4 to the 1/2 power all to the third power. Well, if that's the case, 4 to the 1/2 power is going to be plus or minus 2. Plus or minus 2 to the third power is going to be plus or minus 8. Apparently, they don't want to talk about the 8. So let's just go ahead. How interesting. Okay, so if we say that that is 8, and then times that by 2/3, it's going to give us 16/3. So that means I can deduce our answer should be 16 pi over 3. And now we can go ahead and check our answers. Y is equal to root x, y is equal to 0. Volume of region, y equals square root of y is equal to 0, x is equal to 4, x is equal to 0, about x-axis. Alright, we're gonna see what ChatGPT has to say here. Okay, so I was wrong. Did I misread this? And I sure did. So maybe you can immediately see my mistake. In these problems, one little mistake can throw a wrench in your entire operation. So let's see here what we got. So going back, so what I did wrong here was that I should have had this quantity squared. So I messed up. So that's just going to become x, the integral of x dx, which, okay, let me rewrite this. So it's x to the first right now. So to find the integral, you add 1, and then you divide by the new quantity. So it's going to be x squared over 2, and we're going to figure this out between 0 and 4. Our pi is still tagging along outside somewhere. So let's go ahead and plug in our number. We have got 4 squared is going to be 16 over 2 minus 0. No. 16 over 2. So our final answer is going to be 8 pi. And that's what they got on ChatGPT as well. Now, I know ChatGPT gets things wrong a whole lot, but I think on this particular problem, they had the right idea. Moving on to our next problem. We want to find the region or the volume of a solid obtained by rotating the region bounded by y equals x squared. Okay, let's go ahead and write our given equations so we can determine our convenience. So y equals x squared and y equals 4. Those are the only two that we are given, but we are told that this is going to be rotating around the y-axis. So right off the bat, looks like we can do it in either way. Is either y convenient or x convenient because we have two solutions for each one. But it's going to be easier to do x-y convenience, because otherwise we would have to solve this equation for x, which I mean wouldn't be that difficult in this particular situation, but like in a harder problem, it's just easier to do xy. So we've got about the y-axis, xy. Let me go ahead and go get my y-axis, xy, y-axis, xy. Here we go. Why do you cry? Make the most of your life while it is right, while it is right. While you do not talk, my little hawk, why do you cry? This is Sufjan Stevens, by the way. Fantastic music maker. Alright, so we got our convenience, we have which axis, so let's go ahead and write our equation using our formula. So the volume is equal to 2 pi. Oh, let's go ahead and set these two equations to each other to figure out our bounds. So we have x squared is equal to 4, so that answer is going to be plus or minus 2. So we can go from minus 2 to positive 2. And then we're going to say we're going to say x. Okay. Now, I have to figure out which one's higher between this particular interval. So we can plug in 0 for x. So when 0 is x, y is also 0. But y is 4. So I think y is 4 would be the upper, but I mean, that's not an equation. You can't write 4. It's really weird. I don't know how you do this, because they don't really give us two equations. Let's just go ahead and do... I guess let's try it this way, and then we'll just see what ChatGPT has to say. Hopefully ChatGPT is right. So 2 times the integral of x cubed dx. So that's going to be our integral. And let me show you how I got that. So we started with x cubed. So for integration, we add 1, we divide that quantity. So x cubed turns into 4, then we divide by the 4. It's not really super difficult with these particular integrals. However, some integrals are a real doozy. Okay, let me move on. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to plug in and see what we end up getting. So, -2 to the 4th power. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. So we got 16. Since it's an even power, I guess we're starting with the higher one, so it's going to be a positive already. So it's going to be 16 over 4, which we can reduce to 4, minus -2 to the 4th power is going to be 16 over 4 also. So that should be... which would give us a 0 area, which is not possible. So I didn't do something right. Unless we're supposed to do... I don't know, let's go put it in ChatGPT, figure out what I'm doing wrong here. Problem is... y is equal volume, region, y equals x squared, y is equal to 4 about y-axis.
Should I tear my eyes out now? Everything I see returns to you somehow. Should I tear my heart out now? Everything I feel returns to you somehow.
Okay, well, we did do that one. Okay, well, I guess I was not off to a good start today, folks. But that's okay. This isn't pretty much new material, so I'm just kind of learning it. I guess maybe I shouldn't be streaming it until I like know for sure that I'm gonna be able to get the answer and look cool. But that's okay, because that's not the point of this. The point of learning is not to look cool. The point of learning is to expand our knowledge, right? So, as I did deduce earlier, our y equals 4 is going to be... Here, let me turn this music down. So, okay. So as I did deduce earlier, the y equals 4 is going to be greater than x squared. So, let's rewrite this. So, 4 minus y squared. So let's do volume is equal to 2 pi. The indefinite integral of 4 is just going to become x. Or I mean 4x. X squared. I'm just going to go over this one more time. We add 1 to the quantity and then divide by our new quantity. So that's going to become x cubed over 3. Or I mean, yeah, cube. That's right. Or it was cube 4. Anyways, not important. It's x to the third over 3. So now that we have our indefinite integral, we can go ahead and plug in our values. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and plug in our values. So we do 4 times 2 minus 2 to the third divided by 3. So that's going to be 8 minus 8 thirds. And then we are going to subtract that by 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And negative 2 to the third power is going to be negative 8 divided by 3. So, removing our parentheses here, this is going to become positive. $16 plus which still doesn't seem right to me for some reason. Minus yeah, I mean, I think this would be grouped together. It would be minus 8. Minus 8 over 3. So you would think it should be 16 plus... Well, okay, just kidding. So since this one's already a minus, and this would become a plus, then these are going to cancel. So we're just going to have 16 times pi. Let's see what... Okay, so I made a mistake again. Let's go ahead and move this over a little bit. I forgot we have to times this quantity by x. So 4 minus x. So then before we even deduce, we're gonna already have 4x minus x cubed, which is gonna give us an entirely different answer. Okay, let's do it. So 4x, maybe you know the process by now, so we have x to the first power, right? So that's going to become x to the second power, and then 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. So it's going to be 2x squared minus, okay, now we're doing x to the third, so that's going to become to the fourth, and then we're going to divide by 4. And now that we have our indefinite integral figured out, we can just plug in. So we've got 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8 minus 2 to the fourth power is 16. 16 divided by 4 is going to be 4. And then we're going to plug in our other bound, which is going to be -2, and we're going to have -2 squared, which is going to become +4 times 2, which is going to become 8. And then we're going to have -2 to the fourth power, which is going to become a +16. +16 divided by 4 is equal to, I think it's going to be -4, honestly. Let's see here. Okay, because we've got, okay, let me bring this by itself to make it a little easier. So it's -1/4 times -2 to the fourth power. So that's going to end up being +16 times -1/4. So that will stay positive, or negative. Yep, just like that. So we don't forget about it. We got 8 minus 8, so the 8s are going to disappear. And then we have got -4 plus 4? How the fuck does that work? In the center of the dead. So that's +16 times. Alright, let me redo this. Alright, so we're keeping our 2 pi out front. We have got 2 times 2 squared minus 1/4 times 2 to the fourth minus the entire expression of 2 times -2 squared minus 1/4. Okay. So 2 to the fourth power is 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay. 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. We keep our minus sign here. 2 squared becomes positive 4 times 2 is going to be 8. This negative sign is going to turn this negative sign into a positive sign. And then we've got negative 2 to the 4th power, which is 16, divided by 4, which is 4. So now hopefully we will get the right answer. 8 minus 8 goes away. Negative 4 minus 4 is going to be negative 8 times 2 pi, which should give us negative 16 pi, which is not the answer that ChatGPT got. Now, don't get me wrong, ChatGPT could be wrong, but I'm just going to go ahead and say they're probably not. I blew a bucket of
Why don't you love me? Once the myth has been told, the lens deforms it as lightning. Raise your right hand. Tell me you want me in your.
So what I don't understand here is why we're setting up an integral from 0 to 2 instead of from negative 2 to 2. So I'm just guessing that I think ChatGPT is wrong on this. So let's go ahead and, oh yeah, I can't really check it anywhere else. Fuck. Or I don't know how to check it anywhere else. I really don't think it should be from 2 to 0 though. I think it should be from 2 to negative 2. Well, I don't know. Volume can't be negative though. So we can just probably change that to positive. As y'all can tell, I'm no fucking expert at this stuff, but I am learning. And that's why we're here. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Aubrey Logical. So we've got to find the volume of a solid. Okay. Damn, this album's over. Now I gotta pick something else. How about this? How about I just stop listening to music? Maybe it'll help me. Okay. On to the next one. So the volume of solid obtained by rotating the region bounded by y equals x cubed and y equals 1 from x equals 0 to x equals 1 about the x-axis. So we got y equals x cubed, y equals 1, x equals 0, x equals 1. So we've got 2y solutions, 3x, 4x, 5x, or 3, I mean 3 or 5x, either way. It's too many because 2 is the limit. So, since we have 2 y's, that means we're going to be xy convenient. And since we are rotating about the x-axis, I can grab this one again. XY convenient about x-axis. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's see, we have two limits already, which are 0 and 1. Now, even though we only need 2, we're still gonna do step two, which is setting the equations equal to each other. So x cubed is equal to 1. Um, and yeah, this doesn't even have two possible answers because since it's cubed, say it were a negative one, it would stay a negative one, so it has to be a positive one. But I mean, we already have that, so it's not didn't really help us. Um, let's figure out which um, equation is on top. I'm gonna go ahead and say, okay, so between 0 and 1, y is gonna be equal to 1. So it's gonna be flat horizontal across the x-axis at y equals 1. And then x cubed is going to be like a very large growing function after 1, but it's not going to be over 1 until it gets to 1. So I think the higher function in this case is actually going to be y equals 1. So we can set up our formula now. If I could do it right this time, it's going to be pi times the integral from 0 to 1 because those are our bounds. Um, y2 is going to be our bigger equation, so we're going to have 1 minus pi times the integral from 0 to 1 of x cubed dx. This one's going to be dx also. Okay. 1 dx is just going to turn into x. And I don't know why they call it pie. It looks like a jellyfish. They should call it jellyfish. X cubed derivative. Hopefully we know this by now. Increase by 1. Divide by the new um, number. So x to the fourth. So we're going to divide by 1/4. So I don't need to write that. That's fine. Okay. And we're going to solve from 0 to 1. So let's go ahead and say 1 minus 1/4. And then we're going to say minus 0 minus 0. Okay, so that's not anything. And we do 1 minus 1/4 is going to be 3/4. And then we still have to. Oh, but I didn't square them. Silly, silly, silly. All right, let me fix this. So it's going to be 1 squared dx minus x cubed squared dx. So that's going to be the same for our first one because 1 squared is still 1. Okay, so we're going to multiply our exponents, and that's going to give us x to the 6th. The derivative of x to the 6th is going to be 1/7 x to the 7th, which changes our problem quite a bit. We do want to keep this negative minus, though. So now we've got 1 minus 1/7 minus 0. So 1 minus 1/7, so it's 7/7 minus 1/7. That's going to be 6/7 times pi. Let's go ahead and see what ChatGPT has to say. X cubed and y equals 1. Volume x y equals x cubed y equals 1. X equals 0, x equals 1, and x-axis. And I got it right. So, being as this is the first one I got right, I'm gonna end on a high note. Thank you so much, ChatGPT. Thank you so much to my professor. And thank you so much to anyone who comes across this. Have a good day. Take care.